Christ, it's Geek Pants.
Oh!
I was practicing that for like the last 2 days.
Were you?
Because I was saying Geek Cast.
It's geek. Oh, wait, no.
And then like...
No bloopers allowed
I was
in this
practicing saying, Jesus Christ, it's Geek Pants Camcast. But then I just dropped it. And I was
You're like, it's too much.
It actually works.
It's too much. It's great you saying that right after Solid Snake.
That's right. I think that works out perfectly.
Yeah, it does. It does.
Because, Jesus Christ, it's Jason Bourne.
Yeah.
You know.
Because, like, it's Bourne.
That's right. That's what we're doing.
Watch out. Watch out. Hey, everyone. How you doing? I'm here with the Mercier Identity, the Mercier Supremacy, the Mercier Ultimatum, Mercier Legacy, and lastly, Chris Mercier, everyone.
You literally took all of them, so all I have to give you is the Kenneth Sanction. No, the Levitsky Sanction.
Oh, we're gonna go with the book titles. Is that
you took all the titles? We were supposed to go back and forth.
I thought we were gonna go do a row.
But then I'd be saying the same thing.
Right. The
Levitsky Identity. The Levitsky Identity.
Yeah.
The Levitsky Supremacy. See how dumb this is?
You got 3 more to go. Hit it.
Levitsky Supremacy.
You did that one already.
Oh, yeah, I did.
Yeah. You ruined it. Now you gotta do an extra one.
You ruined it by taking them all in the first shot. We talked about this downstairs. We were going to go back and forth.
We didn't talk about back and forth. I was going to let you take it. I was going to let you take the lead, but you didn't. You kept just going, Jason Christ. Jason Christ. I'm glad there's no bloopers.
The Levitsky Initiative.
Right.
The Levitsky Sanction.
Yes.
The Levitsky Protocol.
Ooh, I like that one.
I don't even know if that's a title. Actually,
it should be. It should be.
I know.
The Levitsky Protocol.
Let's hear it for Kenneth Levitsky.
Oh, thank you very much. Yeah, it wasn't so bad. You got more knowledge of Bourne. So you were able to dive right into those book titles.
I don't know if I told you this, but... because I've told you I've tried reading the books a couple of times.
Yeah.
Okay. But I don't think I ever told you that I've actually watched the original made-for-TV The Bourne Identity movie starring Richard Chamberlain.
I had no idea that existed.
I didn't know that it existed either until like I was strolling and I was at Walmart and I saw the Bourne Identity and I was like, oh, hey, what the fuck?
You sure it wasn't one of those like bad B movies where they're trying to like, oh, let's spell Bourne with B-O-R-N?
No, it's 100% like
it's straight up the Bourne Identity.
That one does it more like the book. It's very close to the book.
Okay. So
basically, for those of you who don't know, Bourne Identity, the movie starring Matt Damon, that I think pretty much launched his career.
Well, I mean, I would say Good Will Hunting did that.
Yeah, but this movie pretty much launched his career.
That's the one that made people go, wow, this guy can make money. Because I remember when Bourne Identity came out, it was 2002, I think. It came out the same summer as Affleck's Some of All Fears, and they had that bet going, who was going to make more money. Yeah,
oh yeah. And before we dive into this, I got off topic, and I'll talk about the original made-for-TV movie really quickly. But just, because I don't know if you remember this, we saw that movie in the theater, and I was like, eh.
The Bourne Identity?
Yeah.
Yes.
I was not 100% sold on it. Because I thought it was going to be this huge action epic.
Right.
Wall-to-wall action. I didn't realize that it was really going to have, like, small action scenes that were awesome. And it was more of a thinking man's action movie.
Exactly.
I had no idea.
They're smart action movies. They're not the generic dumb.
It wasn't until Supremacy.
Yeah.
And that was from Walmart, too. Girl that was working at Walmart, while I was working there, I was like, hey, what would be a good movie to watch? And she just pointed at Bourne Supremacy. She's like, that's amazing. I was like, really? I should buy that without watching it? She said, yep. So I did, and I was like, oh my god!
Yeah, it's so crazy that you're like,
I was ready for it. I was ready for it. At the time, I wasn't ready for it.
And now you're a massive Bourne fan.
Speaking of Some of All Fears, not that great.
I haven't watched it in years.
It's about as good as Ben Affleck's brand new back tattoo.
He has a back tattoo?
Oh, you haven't seen it?
I haven't seen it, but I'm gonna look at it now. And once
You're
I do that, I'm gonna post it right here,
and
so
while
everybody can see it.
Okay, so, oh wow. Okay, so the made-for-TV movie.
Okay.
All right, so Richard Chamberlain. I don't know if you remember Richard Chamberlain.
Nope.
Okay.
Name sounds familiar.
When you see him, you'll go, that guy. I remember you from a bunch of stuff when I was a kid. I don't remember what that was.
Okay.
But,
Yeah,
okay.
all right.
Anyway,
But he's got the face.
so in this one, it starts kind of the same. Both bullets in the back type of thing. Amnesia.
Mm-hmm.
The where it starts to get really weird is that, so in the Matt Damon movies, he's an assassin trained by the government to do off-the-books killings. Perfect, right? So when we see him do all this stuff later on, we don't question it because we know he's a highly trained assassin.
Right.
This one, they have him, a former Vietnam vet, okay, but they have it that he's pretending to be this huge assassin to call out the Jackal, who is this big, huge assassin, Carlos the Jackal. And the books are very much trying, all three of the books, actually, the main ones that the movie got the titles from, are all about killing the Jackal.
Okay.
Okay?
Now,
so,
the Jackal wasn't in the movies, right?
No. Not at all.
Okay, because, like,
they don't touch
the other assassins in those movies, they just call them the assets all the time. I don't
For the
like,
most part,
they
yeah.
have names, but you don't really remember that.
Clive Owens. His was, I believe, the Professor.
The Professor.
I believe he had a name. Anyway.
Yeah.
So, a couple of quick things. Instead of buying Marie's ride, Bourne full-on kidnaps her.
Oh.
Right? So now she doesn't really like him as much.
Right.
Right? But then he saves her life, and naturally she falls in love with him.
Okay.
And then, so that's how that plotline kind of happens, and...
Then they fuck.
Yeah, they do.
Okay,
they
good.
do.
Oh, spoiler.
Sure. Because, like, I don't think anyone that watches our channel is going to be watching this movie. I watched it over the course of 2 nights on YouTube.
What year did this come out? Was it from the 90s?
No, late 80s. I want to say 88, 89.
Well, how old are the books?
Mid-80s?
So
I can't remember. They're
pretty
older.
close right after the books then.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, okay, but because, and when I mentioned the books, I tried the books. The books are very convoluted. Like I've said plenty of times, I love what they do with this. I love that it's David Webb, and then it's Jason Bourne.
Mm-hmm.
And then, sure, he's got a whole cache full of passports, but just the fact that it's that and that, it's not, he's David Webb, and then he was Delta, and then this other guy named Jason Bourne, he killed him, took his name to become the big assassin to root out Carlos the Jackal. So, like, already, you've glazed over. You're already thinking, like, geez, I wonder what Ben Affleck's back tattoo is going to look like.
Yeah, I know. I hate that.
I'm surprised.
I hate that I record with my phone because I really want to look at it. But I don't need to look at it. Okay, yeah, you pull it up.
I will show you, just because... So...
Pull it up.
And while I'm doing that...
Oh, man.
You can take the lead on this one, because I am going to dominate...
The anticipation.
I am going to dominate this conversation. I know
We're going to take the lead?
I'm going to, apologize in advance, but...
we know right now that you are a ridiculously huge Bourne fan. And I'm not joking. Like, is that it?
Oh, yeah, I got it that quickly.
Oh, okay.
Exactly!
What the fuck? Why? What is it? Is it like a griffin or a phoenix dog? Or
if anything, I would say it's probably a griffin.
Is it rising from his ass crack?
Phoenix, that actually would be more appropriate for the phoenix.
I would love if the tail was coming right from the butthole.
It's like, and this is fresh.
See, I don't like to make fun of Affleck. I don't like to make fun. I like Affleck as a person. I think he's a good actor. I love his directing. I think he's a great Batman. But then he does stuff like that. It's like, is that this decade's Geely right there? I mean, that is gross.
No, hold on. Geely is in a class all its own.
Yeah, that's true.
Geely will always be in a class all its own.
Right. I forget that movie. Everyone else doesn't. Oh, why is he Batman? He was in Geely. Dude,
I remember that
10 years ago.
I remember that when they were saying that to the dude from Geely, and I was like, he's done other things.
Yeah.
He was in The Accountant.
Been a full decade.
Getting a sequel.
Is it? Finally?
It's getting a friggin' sequel.
Yes.
Oh,
you know what else is getting a sequel? Equalizer.
That one I knew. It's
apparently coming this year, too.
Yep, I knew that, too.
So that's awesome. Because, I mean, like, I love John Wick, but I enjoyed Equalizer more that year.
Whoa! Whoa. We're gonna table that. We're gonna table that because
Coming soon to the Geek Pants Camcast. I almost said Geekcast.
That kind of
you put it in my head now. Fucking the Geekcast.
That actually floored me. I don't know how you like. I like the Equalizer a lot.
Yeah, I think maybe it all comes down to the little dog dying. I really hated that part.
I didn't like that part either. But what he does,
I'm surprised you just don't straight up hate that movie because the dog died.
But what he does to avenge it, what he does,
I know,
literally spends 2.5 hours avenging that dog's death. And I mean, okay, so the Equalizer had some sort of renown, right?
Yep.
But people were calling him the fucking boogeyman.
Yeah.
They were saying things like, "Hold on, you stole whose car? Everything's forgiven."
Yeah.
You don't mess with.
That was cool.
That's one of my favorite.
Partially because it's Luigi saying you stole whose car.
Yeah. And then it's like the big boss calls up and goes, "Hey, I understand you had a problem with my kid. Yeah, he stole John Wick's car." That will be all.
Yeah.
The big boss is literally like, "That'll be all."
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I fucking love John Wick. I haven't seen the sequel yet. I get that look from a lot of people when I say I haven't seen the sequel yet. But it's all right because I will watch the sequel because we will do a John Wick episode, which may go into Equalizer a little bit. By the sounds of it.
It's going to be like John Wick franchise versus the 2 movies because Equalizer's not getting a third.
Yeah, well, we don't know. The second hasn't hit yet.
It barely got a second one.
I don't know why. It made money. And it was fucking awesome. But we're not here to talk about those American badasses today. We're here to talk about this one right here. Which I just realized while this is laying on the table, it's got a glossy Matt Damon head. And it's really catchy in the eye.
It does.
But I brought cue cards so I could try to keep up with you with Bourne.
That's fine.
All right? So
it's not a competition, even though I said you wouldn't be able to. It's not a competition, so...
I almost want to just start at Legacy to get it over with, but we'll start with Identity.
I think we should just go in order, and then we'll do our favorites.
We'll do it.
You know?
Yeah, we'll save that for the end.
That's right.
All right.
All right, so the Bourne Identity.
Okay, I'm just going to start off with the first shot with him in the water. That's iconic now.
Oh, man.
As soon as I rewatched these movies, because I rewatched them starting last week.
And the opening score.
And I'm really happy that music, hang on. John Powell was the composer of that movie. Yep. I'm really happy his music stuck with the whole series.
Oh, man, yeah.
Because his music, along with Moby ending every credit.
Yep.
Because that was the thing. I watched Jason Bourne for the first time last night. And I was like, when it got to about 3/4 through, I was like, better have Moby. You better have Moby. And when it was there, I was happy.
Of course.
Because that is Jason Bourne.
It's so weird, too.
That music and that Moby song goes up the movies.
Like, you'd never...
As much as Matt Damon.
Yeah, you'd never think of it, but
in fact, Moby has done more Jason Bourne movies than Matt Damon.
That's true. By one.
By one.
By one. That is a very funny statistic.
Yeah. Just figured that one out on my own. All right. Okay, so I got 2 of my points done already. That's good. Doug Liman's direction in the first one is amazing. Yeah. It is amazing. It's amazing. I'm gonna go a little into Supremacy just by a tad right now. Paul Greengrass took over as director with Supremacy, and he did all the other Matt Damon ones after that.
Yep.
But at first, his direction, the shaky camera work and everything, was very distracting. For me.
I think it's only distracting because you were watching them so close together.
Yeah, but even back then, when he took over,
really, eh?
When I watched Supremacy, I wasn't so sure about the shakiness.
Well, but then again, when I watched Supremacy, I was still far enough removed from Identity, and I was like, I don't know about Identity. And like I said at the beginning, like now I like.
Whereas I loved Identity, I watched the first 4 in the theater.
Yeah.
Only missed the 5th because I was broke as fuck at the time.
Yeah, that's right. So I didn't watch Legacy in the theater. I only watched Ultimatum and Jason Bourne in the theaters. Oh, and Identity, yeah. That's
and
right.
Identity.
I skipped Supremacy for some reason.
Supremacy is really good. Really good. But we'll get to Supremacy.
But yeah, Lyman's directing.
Yeah, he's got...
Tony Gilroy's, like...
his writing?
The script was... Like, I know that was one of those ones where they went through a whole ton of changes, especially towards the end because of 9/11 and everything that came after that. Like, I remember in that documentary they were saying, like, no explosions. We're never going to be able to do explosions. I always find it funny that they're like, yeah, because of 9/11, we're never going to have explosions in our movies. like, there was worse things that came out of 9/11 than your movies. But,
Boom! I guess Michael Bay didn't have the same opinion. Because he was like, 9/11, more explosions!
Yeah, he probably was just like, we need upward camera shots, we need solar flares, and we need explosions. What about plot? Plot.
Work around the explosion. The number one character in my movie is the explosion.
I did plot movies at the beginning of my career. I don't have to now.
Yeah, and he really didn't either. I mean, Bad Boys was probably the one with the most plot.
I was just going to say, well, Bad Boys 1 and 2 had plots.
Yes.
Like, it actually had plots.
They had plots.
Where you went like, oh, okay.
Which is why he doesn't want to make the third. He's like, I'm not making any more plots.
I thought I told you guys, I'm done with this shit.
I'm done with plots.
Where's another 80s childhood fantasy?
You want me to make a movie about a roided up Mark Wahlberg and The Rock, I'll do it. But that's as far as I'm going to go into plot territory. Right. So Doug Liman, and I love Doug Liman. Everything after Bourne Identity is great.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever watched a movie I don't like of his.
What else has he done besides that?
Mr. and Mrs. Smith.
Okay. That was alright.
Edge of Tomorrow.
Oh, that's right. That was so good.
He did Edge of Tomorrow. He did, what the fuck else did he do? Yeah, it'll probably come to me eventually.
Yeah, no, it's one of those ones where eventually
he's done quite a bit.
I know a list and then I'm like, oh yeah, and then I forget because, whatever.
Yeah, so he's a good director. But now that I've watched them all back to back, I'm like, Greengrass is the better director for this series. It was just such a jarring change from that one to Supremacy.
But actually, having said that though, I like that we have the two differing ones because like in the first one, it's a very contained movie. Mm-hmm. Same with the second, and of course the third. Well, although the third is a little bit more branched out, we find out towards the end. We'll get to that. But I like that you have this completely different director do this movie, so that way when you look at the other two, he's obviously I feel the same way. Greengrass is the better of the two. I don't think I would have liked Identity as much if Greengrass directed all three.
No. Because,
like, one of my favorite things about these movies is that, unlike every other movie where the character has amnesia, we usually know the story beforehand, whereas in these movies, we're finding out everything as he finds out. So,
exactly.
We're able to sit there and go, oh, okay, we're forming our own opinions, right? So, I feel like that cleaner shooting style worked for the origin, so to speak. And then once he starts finding out more and things become more chaotic, especially with the flashbacks.
They really become chaotic.
Like,
Identity is on a much smaller scale than Supremacy and Ultimatum. Yeah. Much smaller. Like,
exactly.
It's more contained. It's got as much of a love story to it as...
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't have... Though Marie is very much the heart and soul of that first trilogy.
100%.
Because even in Ultimatum, when what's her name? I can't pronounce it. It's
Franca
German. Patente, is that what you're going with? Franca Patente?
That's what I'm going with, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Amazing actress. I love
Franca Patente?
Franca. It's probably Franca.
It's probably Franca, because she's German.
But Run Lola Run is a great movie, so I was really happy.
Crazy, that was
really happy to see her in this.
Yeah.
But even though she's not in Ultimatum, which we'll get to, you can still, like, she is still the center of that. Like, everything he's doing is because of her.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, like, we'll focus more on Identity, but yeah, like I said, getting back to your points, I'm just, I like that we have two different directors in this, so that you have that sort of, like I said, like, you could watch Identity and be like, okay, all right, and then it makes sense in the later movies that you have that different...
Yeah, it becomes more chaotic, so the directing becomes more chaotic.
Exactly.
And,
I do feel, while, like, the handheld cut sort of fighting style is, a lot of people complain about it, I actually think the fight scenes are better done in the remaining two, like Supremacy and Ultimatum. Yeah. The fight scenes are better, but they're still really, really good.
Well, they're not as hand-to-hand in Identity, though. You know what I mean? Like, the field shootout with Clive Owen is amazing.
Yeah, well, but right away, the beginning, like, when he's... right away when he's on the bench, he's sleeping on the bench, and the two cops are like,
Yeah.
"Hey man, where's your papers?" And he's just like, "I just want to sleep."
Mhm.
And then the one tap of the
and then
billy club,
boom,
and it's just
click.
like, poof, and you just like you feel it like right away. You're like, whoa, and it's like 3 seconds, but if you look at it enough, there's a couple of pretty crazy moves in there. But he takes them both out, grabs the guy's gun, and is literally like this, and then you get that first hint of like, what the fuck, and then gone. Right?
Yeah, you're with him in that moment when he's like, "What the fuck?" You're like, "What the fuck?"
And that's what I mean. Like you're with him every step of the way, right at the beginning. Right at the beginning, like you said, the iconic shot. He's in the water. We're in the water with him.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they pick him up on the fishing boat. They take the bullets out. They take the
tracking beacon or not tracking. It's got the bank
account information. Yeah, the account number in his hip.
Yeah.
You know, and then there's that scene where like he's asking himself who he is in the mirror in like the different languages that he can speak.
Mm-hmm.
There's no idea who he is, how he got to where he is, but he knows all this stuff.
Yeah.
You know, and you like every step of the way, you're just like, huh, whoa. And then there's that scene. Then of course there's the bank scene where then he starts to figure out, okay, well I might be Jason Bourne, I might be, David Kane or whatever the other aliases were.
Yeah, what was that guy's?
Well,
that alias was a big part of the first movie.
Well, yeah, John Michael Caine. That's
John
right.
Michael
John
Caine.
Michael Caine.
Yeah.
You know, and then there's like a whole bunch, and like you're just like, whoa.
Yeah. So
yeah, like that's, and even like in Supremacy and Ultimatum, there's still that aspect where you're finding out stuff as he finds out, so you're able to be like in the moment all the way through, and that's I think still like one of the reasons why I just love these movies so much.
Because think of it right now. You're talking about like the quick cutting of the editing with the fights, you know? Like he does hand-to-hand fighting in the first, but it's mostly just taking guys out.
Yeah.
There's not really anyone to challenge him in the first movie. Right?
In his apartment, remember?
Oh yeah, briefly.
Guy comes in through the window.
Yeah.
And that's where we get this scene
That's
where
that one part, yeah.
You know, he's like fighting the guy and he's got blades and stuff, and then all of a sudden Bourne's got a pen, and you're just like, Jesus.
Yeah.
So like, I mean, that was one of the things that like you got to give credit for Lyman
and I was like,
and Gilroy.
Yeah.
To literally suddenly he's got a pen, and he's fighting this guy and kicks the fuck out of him.
Yeah.
You know. So yeah, like I mean, that was a good first like hand to hand. And you're right, like the later ones.
The later ones have a lot more of it. I think a lot more people.
I'm sorry, later in the movie.
Yeah.
It's more or less just. It's more gun related.
Yeah, well, it's the shootout
less...
with Owen, and then the apartment, the body surfing down the stairwell.
Yeah, I hate Robot Chicken for wrecking that for me though.
Oh, what they do?
They had him on. It's still the same scene, but it's like if it was real, right?
Yeah.
So, like both hit, and then like Bourne bounces off, but because it's the impact, right? So they both hit. He breaks his leg. There's like bones shooting out of his leg and stuff. You're like, ah.
It's so true though.
But yeah, you're like, I get it. It's true.
I'm glad they don't really make him like that much of a superhuman at all throughout the rest. That's pretty much the one scene where you're like, what? No.
Yeah, no, there's another one. There's another one.
Is there?
We'll talk about it.
Movie?
It's later movie. Later movie. We'll talk.
Movie. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But like,
that's still really like hokey though to me. When I watched Identity again, I was just like, I forgot about this part.
I'm more hoked out about when he's kicking the guy into the banister.
Oh yeah, just drilling him
and
through.
Manages to kick him. This big guy too. It's not like he's a tiny like Chris-sized guy. This is a big dude, and manages to kick him through enough, and then shoot the guy on the way down. Those are the two parts. Like and like I said, Robot Chicken wrecks it for me in that regard because you're like, well, he wouldn't just have a limp.
No, he wouldn't.
Pretty fucked up.
He'd be pretty destroyed.
He'd be pretty fucked up. You know, and sometimes I think is the limp because he spent like 4 to 5 minutes kicking the guy through the banister.
Probably accidentally kneed the banister. Oh,
you know, like son of a bitch, I twisted my ankle.
Oh man.
Whatever. Hope that guy bang.
It'd be way quicker just to throw him over.
You know, but and you mentioned Marie being the heart.
She is.
I love the way they introduce both characters too.
Me too.
Like they introduce her at the embassy, and they just give her that quick little scene where she's just like, "Well, like I just help me. You guys are telling me to do this, and then I do this, and now you're telling me this and this and that, and you know, and you just kind of, if you didn't know any better, you would almost think it's a throwaway. But then later when he like throws her the money and says, "Hey, I need a ride," and then she says in German like, this is so
Scheiße.
crazy. You know, this is so stupid. And he's just like, you'd be stupid not to, or something like that. I can't remember exactly what he says. And, you know, and then my favorite part, though, is she's just like, yeah, I don't think so. And he goes, well, can I have my money back? And then, boom, scene cut to them driving. I'm like, that's still so awesome that he's just like, here you go. You can have double that if you take me to Paris. And then she's like, I don't think so. Can I have my money back? No, get in the car.
Yeah, we're driving.
And that's after the embassy scene, which is what I love about the embassy scene. Yeah, like, because we have the park, we get a feel for the guy as a fighter.
Mm-hmm.
With the embassy scene, we get a feel for the guy as an actual intelligent guy. Like, this isn't just Steven Seagal who's kicking the hell out of people who doesn't know shit. This is a guy that literally goes, okay, hold on. Here's the map. Here's the guy's radio. How do I get out of here? Okay, all right. And then evades everyone and then gets out climbing down the wall of the building, does a superhero pose. He lands, does a superhero pose, and I was like, yes!
Deadpool would be proud.
Yes! You know?
No, I love that part. That whole embassy scene is awesome.
So good.
Like, honestly, it's been such a long time since I watched these, and I don't know why. I got a lot of fucking movies to watch, as you can see.
Yep.
I was like, fuck, I need to rewatch these sooner next time.
Oh, man.
It's so good.
I'm gonna do a sidestep. What I love, another one of my favorite things, is how the Bourne Identity started off as a movie where people are like, it might make money. Mm-hmm. It might not. And they certainly do it in a way where they could do a one and done, and that's it.
Oh, easily.
They leave it where it could be the end of the movie, no need for a sequel, and that's that.
Mm-hmm.
But what I love about it is not only did it make money, did really good, but it changed the industry. Because
exactly. That's actually one of my later notes, but let's get right into that.
Yeah, because it changed
the way action movies.
James Bond.
100% changed James Bond.
It changed James Bond. It actually helped shape Batman Begins.
Batman Begins?
Which of course really hammered through, because when this came out, the Bourne Identity came out, I think it came out shortly after Die Another Day. Or Die Another Day came out after it. It was the same time frame.
Die Another Day, I think they're the same year. I don't have Die Another Day.
Yeah, it's the same. It is the same year. I'm almost certain though that Die Another Day came out first, and I remember that one, and that's one of those ones we'll get to as well.
I want to say that's the 2002. Yeah,
that's where Brosnan is the best James Bond he's gonna be, because he gets better all the way through, but the movies just get worse and worse. And I remember watching that one and just being like, wow, what the hell are they doing? And then you watch this and you're just like, whoa,
Mm-hmm.
because, so like now you get Casino Royale where there's next to no gadgets. There's a lot of hand-to-hand combat. There's a lot of running and climbing and stuff like that. Batman Begins, a lot of that.
And Casino Royale actually came after Supremacy.
Yes.
And it's funny because Casino Royale is a love story, which ends tragically, and kind of shapes James Bond, Daniel Craig's Bond, throughout the entire rest of the series.
Yep.
Identical to Bourne.
Yep.
Identical.
Mm-hmm. Now you get thinking man action movies in the James Bond series.
Right.
Where you didn't really have that. You get them every once in a while,
yep.
But towards the end of Brosnan's run, it was just getting more and more ridiculous. Ad placements like
mm-hmm.
crazy, invisible cars.
Lasers from space.
Exactly. So...
the Incredible Hulk.
Yep.
The whole beginning of that movie
was
totally boring.
So it's just like, so thank you.
Yeah. Oh, seriously, thank you. Smarter action movies. It's crazy. I would like to see a smart action movie with the dumb action stars of the 80s. I think that'd be funny.
I don't think you could do it.
Imagine Van Damme in a smart action movie.
Wasn't that the Expendables 2?
That was pretty smart, actually.
So...
That was just amazing.
Or wasn't it JCVD?
JCVD.
Because that was a smart...
JCVD is amazing.
That was a smart movie.
It wasn't really an action movie.
No, that's right.
A lot more dramatic.
Really. Anyway.
Watch JCVD if you haven't seen it.
Oh my god, yeah.
We won't do a whole camcast about it, but fuck, it's good.
That's right.
I mean, we will do one.
You never know.
One day. I mean, eventually we'll run out of material.
That's
okay,
right.
so
what else do we got here?
Back to Bourne. I want to talk about The series is always great for villains. Chris Cooper and Brian Cox are amazing in this.
Really good, really good. I like. Actually, hold on. I'm going to say this real quick.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to forget. Another thing I really like about this movie is how organic the relationship between Bourne and Marie evolved.
It's very.
It starts off literally as a business transaction, and then it starts to turn right when she's just like, "Oh, I've been talking for an hour and you haven't said anything," and he's just like,
Don't stop.
No, don't stop. Go on. I've had a headache like for the last couple of weeks, and it's now just starting to go to the back here. Like, no, trust me, go on. She's like, oh, okay, and it goes from there. And there's like, there's times where she just like that's where she's like, I don't know what the fuck's going on with him. Like, I don't know who he is. Oh, you are a killer. But then goes back, and at no point in time was I like, well, of course they're gonna get together because they're in the same. Like, you know that, but at the same time, it was like 100% believable all the way through, to the point where I was like, did they date in real life?
Mm-hmm.
Like, after this movie?
Mm-hmm.
They didn't, but I wouldn't have been surprised if they did.
Yeah.
You know? The chemistry was there. Everything that they did between the two characters was really believable, but just yeah, like, at no point in time was I eye-rolling, you know?
No, I wasn't either.
It was just
even
like...
what, 3/4 or so throughout the movie there, where she leaves... He sends her away.
Yeah.
He goes off and does his own thing on his own to finish it off.
Yeah.
And he goes back to her. Like, they could have had him not go back to her. That could have been her end.
Or they could have killed him like they at one point planned on doing.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. Like, they didn't have to do that part. There is actually a second ending, which I'll touch upon too.
Okay.
Yeah, but anyway, so
I love the ending we got though.
Oh, me too.
When she,
me too.
When she's there working and stuff, and he walks in, and what does he say? He makes like this comment. She doesn't really realize it's him at first, and then he makes another comment, and it clicks in. And you see it on her face, and she's like, "Oh my god!" And she turns around.
I can't remember now, but I just remember being like, "Yes!"
I was so happy,
you know,
and then so sad because I knew what was coming in the next movie.
But that's right.
Know,
that's right. But like. So that was really great, but okay, so because you mentioned Brian Cox, and Chris Cooper.
Yeah.
So good.
They're so good in this movie.
So good. And it's, and this is where, like, this is another one where the book differs. The book differs in that Conklin isn't a bad guy.
Okay.
You know, Conklin and later on the Brian Cox character, not Hirsch. Hirsch is the creator of the other guy, Abbott.
Yeah,
that's right, Abbott. So Abbott, they're like buddies with Bourne. Because I'll rush ahead. So the second ending is that Abbott confronts Jason Bourne and says, "Hey, what happened was kind of it's a shame, blah blah blah. But we want you to come in and work for us again." So he goes to work for them for odd missions and stuff like that. Because in the books, Abbott and Conklin are buddies with him. You know, and even in that '88 movie with Richard Chamberlain, they're very much buddies.
Yeah,
they're very much friends. There's none of this like shady government thing. It's all on the up and up. But having said that, this is infinitely better. Cooper is great in the instances where he's like that righteous, self-righteous, patriotic badass, and then other times where he's almost like a sniveling child when Abbott's like, "Hey, man."
Yeah.
Like, you said you would get Bourne, now you didn't get Bourne. And that the original hit, Wombosi, ends up getting killed, right? Because that was the original mission, you know? It's just like, well, you know? Like, I can't. If we don't cut this off, we don't make it to the men's room and all this other stuff. And you're just like, oh my god, like, this is so good. Like even at the end, like, he slaps the gun out of Bourne, like out of space. He's literally just like,
get the gun on me.
You're like a $90 million, what was it? Malfunctioning. You're a malfunctioning $90 million property of the government or something like that. I was just like, that is awesome. That it literally just was like, get that out of my face.
Yeah.
You know, and even though he was shitting his pants, the Bourne was there.
Yeah.
You know, he still just like bang, slaps it out and stuff. Like, he was great in that movie. I also really like the double filming where they're showing Bourne, they're showing
Right.
Conklin.
Right, because it makes you think this is Bourne.
And the assassin is stalking one of them, and like, I don't care who you are, when you're watching that movie the first time around, you think Bourne's getting shot.
Yeah, you have no idea
that it's Conklin who's getting shot.
No.
And then when he gets shot, you're like, oh!
Yeah.
You know, and it's like 2 in the back, 1 in the front. And then Bourne gets away and does the whole thing with Marie, which is great. But yeah, like, I mean, he was great. Abbott was great, but he's better in the second one because he's now the Conklin character.
Right, exactly. You know, he steps it up. But
just enough, because just enough in that, like, you know that he's part of the same thing. So he's like heading it up.
Mm-hmm.
No, we don't know that in the beginning. We just know that he's like, hey man.
Mm-hmm.
So they're both in on it. And then when we get to the reveal, like when he finally says, like, Bourne gets the reveal where it's like, you know, we've been with him. We know he's an assassin for the government. We know that something happened on that boat and he got shot in the back. We don't know what happens. Then finally we figure out his target, who we mapped out completely on this boat, hid out on this boat for a couple of days. Nobody knew he was there. He goes to kill him, and the kid is there.
Yeah.
And he can't kill him in front of the kid. His programming starts to hardwire, or de-hardwire, I guess, whatever.
Yeah.
And he can't kill the kid. And you're just like, oh, wow, that's awesome. You know, like, I like that they never play Bourne like he was an altogether good guy,
mm-hmm.
but they also don't play him like he's an altogether bad guy. You know, like, he's the David Webb part of his character, which has come out, obviously.
Yep.
I like that ultimately he's a good guy, and he's starting to realize he's done some bad things, but he just wants to be left alone. Like, I think that's probably one of the things I really like. Another one of the things I like about this movie, it's an anti-spy movie.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, it hits the spy tropes by subverting almost every single one of them. Like, I mean, sure, the government agency that wants to frame the spy and kill the spy, that's been done before. But you've never had the guy go, I just want to be left alone.
Yeah.
Like, I just, you know, because we don't know why they're trying to kill him. And then when we find out why, he's just like, okay, fine. How about this? Jason Bourne's dead. Leave me alone.
Mm-hmm.
You don't ever come near me. You come near me, I will take this fight to your doorstep. But if you don't, we're good.
Yeah.
You know? And it's just like even in like the Casino Royale, and of course that's subverting James Bond stuff because of these movies.
Yeah.
It's still, you know, he's proud to be a spy. He wants to do his job, and there's nothing wrong with that, because we'll get to the Daniel Craig Bond movies, because those are some of my favorite Bonds, period.
Mm-hmm.
You know? But, like, I still love the fact that this is a guy that no longer wants to do this anymore. You know, he did his time, he wants to move off into the sunset, and that's it.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
When you mentioned the Bond movies, it just, like, triggered a thing in my mind where I was like, I would almost rank those movies the same as this in the way they work out. Yeah. Which is funny. We'll get to that
to a degree. I actually, no, I disagree, but we'll... Because I think I know what you're talking about, like, in terms of how they get better.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so I'll disagree there, but that's fine. Julia Stiles, absolutely. Like, short and sweet in this role.
Very. She was like a background character in this, where I was like, oh, hey, Julia Stiles.
Yeah, I remember I did the same thing, because she was a pretty big star at that point.
Right. She had like that.
She was up on the rise.
Well, she started around the same time as Matt Damon.
That's right.
Because he did Good Will Hunting in like 97, 98 or so, and then I think 98, 99 or something was 10 Things I Hate About You with her. That's right. Kind of the movie that started her.
Didn't he do like The Talented Mr. Ripley right after that too?
Right after that. I tried to forget that movie.
Really?
I hate that movie.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay, wait. I haven't seen it in a long time.
Where do you watch it?
I was younger. I might like it more now.
Yeah.
Back then.
Okay, I think because you were younger, you didn't want to see a movie about two dudes possibly getting it on.
I don't remember that part of it. Was that part of it?
Well, there's aspects to it.
Oh, okay.
But anyway,
overall,
it's a good movie.
I'm going to watch it now.
It's overall a good movie. But, I mean, yeah, I could talk about this movie forever. I could talk about all these movies forever.
Oh, I know you can.
You know.
We've had some good conversations about these movies. Well,
I even like,
you've talked to me about these movies and I listened.
Yeah. Clive Owens, That was one of his first roles.
It was.
You mentioned the farm scene, and
Mm-hmm.
we have to talk about the farm scene.
Okay.
Because the farm scene is so awesome.
It's
talked
really good. I love
about
the
in
whole
the
way
embassy,
it plays out.
and that's where you get the idea that Bourne's actually a really smart guy.
Yeah.
Or even later on, where he's telling Marie to go into the hotel room, and she's got to do all these things, make sure all this stuff, right? And you're just like, holy crap, you know, this guy is like. I don't want to say he's really smart. I don't want to make it sound like he's this genius, but he's incredibly aware.
Yeah, he's always a step ahead of everyone.
You know, and even I can't believe we didn't touch upon the diner scene, where it's literally like, I could tell you the license plates of every one of those vehicles.
Yeah.
I could tell you that the lady at the counter, the waitress is left-handed. I could tell you that the guy probably weighs about 250, 280 pounds and can handle himself. I could tell you the best place to look for a gun is in the cab of the transport outside.
Yeah.
How could I tell you all these things and I don't know who the hell I am?
Yeah.
Right? And you're just like,
That's
are you fucking crazy? Like, are you kidding? I can barely remember my phone number. And you're remembering all this stuff. Especially now that with cell phones where we don't have to remember anything.
Right.
You know? And I almost remember that scene verbatim. so I've got some promise.
Because I recorded it on my cell phone.
No. Because I've watched this movie
okay.
so many times.
All right.
But I've even watched the scene on YouTube. But like I said, I don't want to make it seem like he's this genius. He's not a genius. He's just incredibly aware. He's able to read his surroundings, and he's very practical. You know, so
that farm scene.
So that farm scene, like
when they're
I
like
said,
the dog is missing, and right away he's like, "Get your children downstairs."
Yeah, you gotta go.
Yeah,
get your children downstairs.
Yeah,
you know, and the only thing that bugs me about that scene. And this was one of those ones where, because I didn't realize it at the time, for the longest time when I was watching these movies, I don't know how I missed it, but I thought I thought the guy, the family, was her brother. I didn't realize it was a former boyfriend.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so for a while I was like, okay, you know, whatever, like, oh, it sucks that this is what happened, but then when it clicked, I'm like, wait a minute. So it's weird that she picks one of her ex-boyfriend's farmhouse to go to, right? Mm-hmm. Like, I mean,
it's a little strange.
It's weird.
But she didn't think he was going to be there either.
But even then, like, it's weird that she's just like, that's the perfect place, right? And they hadn't been together for years. Mm-hmm. Like, it wasn't like a couple of weeks or anything. It was long enough that, like, she didn't even really get kids, right? Mm-hmm. So, anyway, getting to that part where it's just like, yeah, you gotta go, it's just like, whoa. And then immediately looks around, pulls out, oh, shotgun shells, there's the gun, right? And that whole scene where he comes out, blows up the propane tank, so now the professor...
He knows where the guy is.
He has an idea of exactly where this guy is, because that's the spot
That's where he would be, so...
You know, then all of a sudden he's just like, oh, explosion, then hits the field, and he's tracking him as best he can, but he got quite a lead on him, and then that one part where now it's the open field, birds fly up.
Yeah.
You're just like, what the like,
I know.
Are you kidding me?
It's so good. It's so good.
And then actually clips the guy in the arm, you know, before he can, like, kill him. Mm-hmm. And then he says the one line, and they echo this line quite a bit, but I love it, where it's just like, do you get the headaches? Ugh, I get them so bad, or something like that. But then he goes, look at what they make you give. You know? And I'm just like, on its own, that's a great line, because Bourne has spent the entire movie just, trying to figure out why these guys are after him.
Yep.
And now, this whole point now is to just stop it. You know? Because he's starting to realize, this is what I gave up. I don't want this anymore. I want to do my own thing. And, yeah, that farm scene. And that's the scene they're talking about, where they fought to get that scene in there.
Because of the explosion.
Because 9/11 happened. God forbid we have no more explosions. People died, but never mind. Yeah. But, you know, they fought hard for that one.
Yeah, it was pretty fresh. I mean,
glad that they got that scene.
Yeah, well, I mean, it had nothing to do with buildings blowing up or anything. It's not like in the later movies in the series where they're fucking destroying downtown Vegas and whatever, fucking Grand Theft Auto style.
Yeah, exactly. So, like, but I mean, to not have that scene in that movie, like, because even in that scene, we touch upon the part where he's watching the kids sleep, you know, and you're starting to feel like, you really feel like, okay, this is something I want. Like, I want to have what this guy has,
Mm-hmm.
but I can't because of the life that I've lived. So, like, just from start to finish, it's just one of those movies where, like I said, like, it's an anti-spy movie.
Yeah.
He wants nothing to do with this. He just happens to not know who he is, but has these crazy abilities, crazy training, I should say.
Mm-hmm.
And then it just beautifully shot, beautifully written. The score is amazing. Everyone in this movie is great.
Yeah.
There's not a bad role in this movie.
No.
Like, even Julia Stiles is a quick role. Abbott's a
Very
quick role, but they just nail it. So right away, you're just like, oh, okay.
And that's the thing this series is really, really good for. Even the movies that aren't as good, they always have great actors.
Yes.
Great actors and great characters.
That's right.
Like, every movie, like, the side characters are on par with pretty much no other movie.
Yeah,
Like,
it's amazing.
the actors they get in this
flesh them out
series.
just enough where
Yeah.
they could now, like, some of these other characters can show up in, like, Legacy, for instance,
Mm-hmm.
just kind of on the outside. And not only do you go, oh, you're like, oh, yeah, it makes sense that he,
Yep.
So yeah, like, I mean, for the beginning of one of the greatest action franchises in the history, couldn't have started any better.
No, I agree.
And like I said,
I agree.
if Greengrass was directing it, I would probably still like it. I don't know if I'd like it as much.
Yeah, I think Doug Liman was the perfect director for that first movie. Absolutely.
Do you have anything else in your notes to add here?
That is, we're on the supremacy notes. I'm thinking, no, we're done.
All right, so
And you got a little tune. So.
Hmm?
And you got that little tune for me while I was looking at my card.
that's right.
Okay, anyway, supremacy.